Istituzioni inventate.
So, the last year's slogan of the Berlin Disability and Med Pride Parade was called Ganz haben statt Teilhaben. And the activists literally translated the slogan from German into English, saying all-icipating instead of participating, meaning we want to have it all. Or speaking in a more metaphorical sense, we don't want a piece of cake, we want the whole fucking bakery. So they actually invented the word all-icipating to show that terms like inclusion and even participation have been shaped and abused by oppressors in, and I'm saying it now in their words, in throwing us some crumbs and call it participation. And more concretely, the activists claim, we want that everybody is able to live how he wants to. We want the full participation. Institutions have to be made redundant and shut. There to demand what you need, show your longings, your aspirations, your desires. So, the interesting thing to me is that the Berlin activists collectively claim we want all-icipating, while not framing any specific words. So it's quite a contrary, I would say. They say join us and show your needs. And inspired by them, in following Donna Haraway, I'd like to propose to think from the verb to need instead of to think from the substantive need. And I think it's been mentioned several times in the project that needs as substantives are singular, multiple, and complex. Needs fluid and challenge institutions. They trigger crises of care. And I think of examples like the common session in Thessaloniki or the micro areas in Trieste, and I think they show quite well how people invent alternative care practices, how they experiment and deal with singularities in situated social and political economic contexts differently. So to think from to need could even expand the possibilities of change that are already inherent in the substantive need. And at least to me, the verb to need usually indicates something or someone is lacking or missing, but to need in present is unruly, it's manifold, is perverse, is incalculable, crazy, non-innocent, resistive, bad, unproductive, queer. To need too shows even more frenzy. To need is singular, but never disconnected to other things, humans, and whatever you can and want imagine. So I want to understand to need as a social practice of emancipation. For example, if I think from the verb to need through queer and feminist caring networks in Berlin and other places where I lived, I do not only see small groups and family networks of queers, loonies, friends, and activists supporting and caring for each other's needs because of love and because of affinity. I also think of a long history of multiple and pro struggles, driven by to need. So struggles for civil rights of queers and cribbles, weirdos and witches, struggles against National Socialist and fascist legacies having shaped institutions like psychiatries or laws that had criminalized homosexual acts till the 1990s. So struggles, I think of struggles for pills, hormones and drugs, be it for contracepting, for transitioning or for surviving HIV. Struggles also against pills and hormones and drugs, against getting forced to take them to fit to capitalist society. I think of struggles for sexual self-determination and bodily integrity. I think of struggles for personal autonomy and independence, for self-organized assistance. So I think of struggles for the right to live and the right to stay and for the right to speak. I think of struggles for better work and against the masterwork. I think of struggles for consensual sex and pleasure. And I think of so many more, actually. But I also think of a diverse infrastructure, a fluid set of networks, connections, and alliances. I think of social centers and alternative health centers. They offer space for self-organized groups that they can meet there regularly. They do lobbying, they do research, they are networking. They coordinate events in the neighborhood or with neighborhood initiatives. So there's quite a lot going on there. I think of cultural events, of housing projects, pride parades, self-organized assistant, coffee and sex shops. I think of an urban infrastructure, an urban surround where at one day I can offer counseling in a social center to a person who is new to the city and is actually looking for new friends, and then there is another day and I feel like and I need to dance, and the person who had received the counseling coordinates this lovely fabulous party. So this is care. I think of never expected social and political alliances, state agencies that offer free and anonymous health services, state initiatives that inform people on the subway about trans and homophobia. I think of queer-friendly education plans and tangled knowledge productions. And I also think of difficult, harmful tensions, frictions, and conflicts. And yeah, from a queer and a feminist perspective, I think it's been a matter of surviving to build alternative infrastructures and institutions. But at the same time, it's been also a matter of surviving to align and to cooperate with harmful institutions. Just to give some examples, to legally change your assigned gender at birth, you need diagnosis, you must do therapy. To get registered as the second mother of your child, you must prove that you are a serious homonormative couple. And to vote against national conservatives, you need a German citizenship. To apply for asylum, you must come out. And to pay your health insurance, you sometimes must register for social services. There is no way. And what else? Yeah, to receive specific treatments, you often need credits. But still, those practices and connections expand and invent spaces of possibilities. I think they disrupt and sometimes destroy the disciplinary tensions of heteronormative and racist institutions. But there's also a moment or a point where identity politics crystallize, where identity plays in. And sure, to imagine a collective identity can be a very powerful driving force to become an emancipatory force, to build new infrastructures, to change existing ones, to even destroy them. But there's also this problematic and critical point of identity or moment. It's this point where practices turn away from, I would say, the mode of to need to a mode that aim to universalize and to fix needs, where needs themselves become an institution in a negative sense. So it's this point probably where we all start claiming we all need instead of claiming all-icipate, there to demand what you need. So to make it short, if I think from to need, I think of diverse infrastructures, frictions, conflicts, alliances, a city that heals and harms. And I'd like to contribute to the discussion by the following statements. To need de-individualizes my needs. To need breaks the boundaries between caregivers and caretakers. To need does not accept a fixed place, neither a specific home nor a specific nation state. It might be fugitively. To need seeks alliances that go beyond personal and political affinities. It builds temporary alliances, productive frictions, effective entanglements, situational attachments. To need indicates a broad idea of health. To need is becoming social but has no social. To need destroys institutions. To need is a practice of infrastructuring. So to wrap it up, if the verb to need in present is a queer and unruly social practice, it then opens new possibilities of alliances. meaning, new forms of becoming, relating, connecting, even attaching and caring with many and others differently.